Rush of Icor is a trading card game that can be played in a 1v1 or team versus team format. Prepare to dive into the rich and diverse histories of ancient civilizations where the legends, myths, and warriors of the past come to life in an exciting strategic trading card game. In this video, we will teach you everything you need to know to prepare for epic battles. To make things even easier, the majority of the cards you will be using can be found in the 4 starter decks, which have everything players need to start playing. Let's take a look at what's inside of these Rush of Icor starter decks. Each starter deck contains 54 cards, including 3 Infusion cards, which we will cover later in this video, 1 Shattered Chaos card booster pack, 1 token sheet with a variety of different counters that you will use throughout the game, and 1 rule sheet. Each deck will contain an avatar card. This is important because your avatar will command your deck. In the Moonlit Magic Ready to Play starter deck, each shell will be our avatar. Avatars have special powers and rush abilities indicated by bold text. Each player will also have 10 influence cards and a deck of minimum of 40 cards. If you are using one of the starter decks, you won't need to make any special adjustments before you start playing. With that being said, players are encouraged to customize these decks or craft their own using the Shattered Chaos booster packs. Now, let's set up the game. To begin, each player will set up their play area across from their opponent. In between each team, somewhere in the middle of the table, create a pile of Icor tokens, and in a separate pile, place damage tokens. Before moving any further, let's quickly review the different zones on the playmat. Starting in the top left, your avatar card will command your deck from here. To the right of your avatar card is where you will place your summoned champions, followed by the void in the top right. Moving down from the avatar card area is where you will place locations. Under that is where you will place your influence deck, with active influence cards expanding to the right. In the bottom right is where your deck will be placed, with the graveyard pile directly above it. To start a game, randomly determine which team will go first. Each player will now separate their avatar card and influence cards from their deck. Players will then place their avatar card face down in the avatar slot. Players then place their pile of influence cards face up in the bottom left, and then shuffle and place the remainder of their deck face down in the bottom right. From their deck, each player will draw 5 cards to create their opening hand. At this time, each player has the opportunity to mulligan by shuffling any number of cards from their hand back into their deck, and then draw cards until their starting hand returns to 5. It can be recommended particularly for beginners to utilize a mulligan if your starting hand does not consist of any cards with an influence cost of 0 to 2. You can tell the cost of a card by the number at the top left corner of the card. For instance, Industrious Farmer costs 1 influence and Typhoon has a cost of 6. When all players are set up, each player will flip their avatar card face up. Now that we got the game set up, we're ready to jump into gameplay. In Rush of Icor, players will exert influence to put cards into play and execute special abilities to damage opponents' champions in battle, and be the first team to secure the required amount of Icor to win. The game is played over a series of rounds where each team will have a turn to take actions. A round is made up of the start phase, where allied champions secure stored Icor and refresh exerted influence in addition to gaining 1 influence. Followed by the draw phase, where allied players draw 1 card from their deck. The action phase is where allied players may play cards, activate abilities, raid, and attack. Finally, the end phase is where end abilities are triggered. Let's take a closer look at the action phase before moving further. This is where the majority of game-defining decisions are made. During the action phase, players can activate special abilities, play cards, attack, and raid. Let's review the different types of actions players can make in Rush of Icor, starting with activating avatar and rush abilities. Avatars serve as the leader of your deck, dictating your deck building restrictions and possessing powerful abilities. During action phases, players will have the option to use avatar powers. Each avatar has an avatar power located here and signaled by the black circle with a number in it. The number in the circle signifies the influence cost needed to activate the ability. For this example, Ishil's avatar power costs 2 influence to activate and says, the next time you cast a spell this turn, add it to your hand after it resolves instead of placing it in the graveyard. Your avatar's powers may only be activated once per turn. Each avatar will also have a rush ability that can be activated during the action phase, located under the avatar's power text. To activate this ability, you must destroy secured Icor equal to the number following rush, then resolve the effect. Ishil's rush ability states Rush 3, which means to activate this ability you must destroy 3 Icor by taking it from the pile of Icor your team has secured and returning it to the central pile located in the middle of the table. Due to their potent impact, players may only use the rush ability once per game. Moving on to the action of playing cards. To play a card, you must first exert influence equal to the cost found on the top left corner of the card. If you do not have enough influence to meet that card's cost, you cannot play that card. Be sure to indicate exerted influence by flipping it over in the designated influence area. You may play cards to build locations, cast spells, and summon champions. Let's start by seeing how you play locations and fabled locations. To play a location into your location slot, start by paying its cost. You may only have one location slot on the battlefield. However, some cards like Isis have abilities that may allow you to play additional locations into champion slots at the top of your play area here. If you wish to play a location while you already control one in your location slot, you may send the one that is currently in your location slot to the graveyard and then play the new location by paying its cost as normal. You may have noticed that some locations have the fabled trait. You may only control one fabled location with the same name at a time. Additionally, no player can attempt to play a fabled location to your battlefield with the same name as a fabled location you control. Playing spells. You may cast a spell by paying its cost and then resolving its effect. Once you resolve the spell ability, send it to your graveyard. Finally, playing champions and fabled champions. Each player may only control 6 champions on the battlefield at any time. You can summon a champion by paying their cost. Champions are summoned next to each other. However, when you summon a new champion, you can place it next to or in between any other champion. Once summoned, champions cannot swap places with other summoned champions you control. Champions can have the fabled trait. Similar to fabled locations, you may only control one fabled champion with the same name at a time. Additionally, no player can attempt to summon a fabled champion to your battlefield with the same name as a fabled champion you control. When playing cards, some cards will have different type of card abilities. Activated abilities include avatar powers, rush abilities, and action abilities. Action abilities can be found on some location and champion cards indicated by the word action written in all caps. These abilities can be activated during your action phase, once per turn. To activate this ability, you must declare the activation, pay any additional costs, then resolve the effect. Additional costs must be paid each round that a card's ability is activated. The additional cost is determined by the circle number to the right of action. Some cards will have a circled X, which allows the person who summoned the card to determine its influence cost. Trigger abilities initiate automatically when a specific game action, phase, and timing occurs. These specific game actions, phases, and timing are in bold and in all capital letters at the beginning of the ability like this. There are 6 different triggered abilities. The attack ability triggers when that champion takes the attack action. The death ability triggers when that champion dies. The end ability triggers during the end phase of your turn. The raid ability triggers when the champion raids. The secure ability triggers when that champion secures Icor during the secure step. And the summon ability triggers when that champion is summoned. Passive abilities are active as long as the card is on the battlefield. These abilities are clearly written and have no particular styling. For example, this Bronze Metalsmith card says Egyptian champions you control have +1 attack. This means that for as long as the Bronze Metalsmith card is in play, the attack value of Egyptian champions you control will increase by 1. Finally, card abilities that target. Some card abilities may require a designated target. When an ability requires a target, the controller of that ability chooses the designated recipient of that ability. For example, the Troublesome Tanuki card says Summon. Target player draws a card, then discards a card at random. This means that you, an allied player, or an opposing player may be chosen to carry out this action. You may only target players, champions, or locations in targetable range. They must be either the opposing player directly across from you or the allied players adjacent to you. The next 2 actions that can be taken during the action phase are arguably the most important, attacking and raiding. Champions can either attack or raid once per round. Champions cannot attack the turn they are summoned unless the card text states otherwise. All champions have an attack and health value in the bottom left corner here. The Skilled Stalker champion has 4 attacks shown on the bottom left next to the lightning bolt, and 2 health just shown to the right of that next to the droplet. Attack determines how much damage a champion deals when it strikes, and health determines how much damage it can take before it dies. To declare an attack, choose a champion you control and an opposing champion controlled by the player across from you. The 2 champions strike and deal damage to each other. This is where these tokens come into play. Place tokens on champions to track damage. It is important to note that damage is sticky, meaning that damage is not removed between rounds unless it is healed by a card effect. Raiding with champions is a vital component of the game because raiding, storing, and securing Icor is how you win. Unlike attacking with champions, champions can raid for Icor the turn they are summoned. Most champions have a raid value in the bottom right corner of the card indicated by the number of Icor symbols. Using the Skilled Stalker champion card again, you can see that the raid value is 1. The raid value will vary across different champions depending on the number of Icor symbols on the bottom right of the card. To declare a raid, choose the raiding champion and store Icor on that champion equal to their raid value. Track this by placing these Icor tokens on top of the champion that raided. These Icor are now being stored and will stay on that champion until that champion dies or makes it to the beginning of the next turn when the Icor can be secured. If a champion dies with stored Icor on it, the Icor returns to the central pile and the champion card is placed in your graveyard. At the beginning of the new turn, all allied champions secure stored Icor, refresh exerted influence in addition to gaining one more influence. The max influence any player can have is 10. Next, all allied players will draw one card from their deck. During the very first turn of the game, this step is skipped. Now all allied players enter into the action phase we just reviewed, where they can play cards, activate avatar powers, rush abilities, action abilities, declare attacks, and raid for Icor. Right before the completion of a turn, the end phase begins, allowing all end card abilities to trigger. Once this is complete, it is now the opposing team's turn, where they will follow the same sequence of phases. This will repeat until the victory conditions are met. For a 1 vs 1 game, 10 secured Icor are required to win. For 2 vs 2 and 3 vs 3 matchups, 15 secured Icor are required to win. Rules for customizing your own deck. Your deck must include 1 avatar, 10 influence cards, any number of infusion cards, which we will get to in a second, and at least 40 cards containing a combination of champions, locations, and spells. You may not have more than 2 copies of a card in your deck. Each avatar card will have 2 aspect icons on it. When selecting different cards to add to your deck, they must have a matching aspect to one of the aspects found on your avatar, or no aspect. The Zeus Crowned in Thunder avatar card has a yellow icon and a purple icon. This means only cards that have purple, yellow, or no aspect icon can be added to the deck. The Hoplite Champion, Oracular Vision spell, and Swift Messenger champion cards can be added to the deck because they have a purple, yellow, and no aspect icon. You wouldn't, however, be able to add the Cyclops Blacksmith champion because its aspect icon is red. This is important because each aspect represents the intention, motivation, or will of the card it is associated with. The combination of aspects will reflect the playstyle of the deck and plays into the types of strategies individual players and teams will use to win the game. There are 6 aspects: ambition, curiosity, devotion, fear, intuition, and prophecy. For a detailed list of the characteristics of each aspect, check out the link in the description to visit the full rulebook. Moving on to a really fun and unique feature of Rush of Icor, Infusions. Infusion cards are clear overlay cards that offer Rush of Icor players the ultimate deck building experience. With 2,740 different combinations, gameplay outcome possibilities become endless, which keeps the game fresh and exciting. Infusions grant champions additional abilities. These abilities work as if they were printed on the champion card itself. Infusions can be added to any champion with an infusion allowance value indicated by the number of dots here in the top left corner of the card, and here on the top left corner of the infusion. In other words, the number of dots on the infusion card must be equal to or less than the number of dots on the champion. Some infusions have the unique trait, which is marked by the symbol of the 3 feathers under the infusion allowance. You may only have 1 copy maximum of a unique infusion in your deck. Each of the starter decks come with 3 infusion cards. Try your luck at collecting others in booster packs. Some card text contains keywords, indicated by bolded text. The keyword Fury means this card can attack any number of times during your turn. This includes attacking the same target multiple times. Lethal means when striking, any damage dealt is enough to destroy the other champion. The Venomous Asp does not have enough attack to kill Yamata no Orochi, that has a health of 8, but because of the lethal keyword, it has the ability to kill it anyways. Quick Strike allows that champion to strike first when attacking. This means if the attack destroys the target, then this card will not receive damage from the destroyed card it had attacked. The Reanimate keyword means that when that champion dies and goes to the graveyard, players summon that champion from their graveyard during the next end phase. However, the next time this champion dies, send it to the void instead. The Swift keyword allows champions to attack on the turn it was summoned, and the Support keyword allows players to give attack value to another champion. For example, this card says Support Greek. This would give target Greek champion additional attack. When a champion supports, it cannot attack or raid that same turn, neither before nor after. For the full game glossary, be sure to check out the rulebook on upperdeck.com/rush. Some situation-specific rules you should know. Starting with drawing with no cards in your deck. If you must draw while you have no cards in your deck, the opposing team automatically secures an Icor for each card drawn. This triggers for each allied player who cannot draw a card. Moving on to a couple golden rules of Rush of Icor. Whenever a card ability or effect states that something can happen or directs that thing to happen, but another card, ability, or effect states that the same thing can't happen, the can't effect will take precedence. For example, Thunderbolt says deal 3 damage to target champion. The Skilled Stalker says this champion cannot be targeted by card effects. Because can't beats can, Thunderbolt will have to select a different opposing champion to target. Additionally, whenever the card text contradicts the game's rules, card text always takes precedence over game rules. That's about everything you need to know to start playing Rush of Icor. For questions about specific card effects, check out the full rulebook linked below in the description or at upperdeck.com. For additional information, make sure to check out the Rush of Icor webpage, upperdeck.com/rush. To stay up to date on all things Rush of Icor, make sure to follow our socials at upperdeckent and join our community on Discord and Twitch for exclusive card reveals and more. Until next time, thanks for watching.